Hello my dear students, how are you? I hope you are doing well, and again we are here with a new science chapter, and the name of the chapter is Coal and Petroleum. So are you guys ready with this chapter? Let us start, and first of all, as usual, we'll see what we are going to discuss in this chapter. So here in this chapter we'll talk about the introduction part, natural resources, then we'll discuss about coal and we'll discuss its story of coal. That means how do we get coal, from where, and what is the story behind it. Then we'll talk about the uses. We'll discuss about the product that we generally obtain from coal, and after that we'll start with petroleum. So as the name suggests, half part is coal and half part is petroleum. So after coal, then we'll discuss about petroleum, its refining, its various uses, and then in detail we'll talk about one of the product obtained from petroleum product, that is natural gas. So, are you guys ready? Let us start this chapter. So, when we talk about the introduction part, we say that this introduction part says that what are this coal and petroleum, from where do we get. So, as you can see here in this image, we can say that the materials are for our basic need. That means these materials are required for our basic need. We know that there are certain things which are very necessary for us, without which we cannot live, like air, like water, like food. Along with those substances, still there are certain materials which are very important in our life. So here when we talk about fuel is one of the important material, that is, we can say, is one of the important part of our daily life. So here in this chapter we are going to discuss all those materials that are actually used in our basic need. So before going to start with this chapter, let us do an activity. And I'll ask you to make a list of various items that we generally use in our daily life and try to classify them as it is man-made or natural. Man-made means which is synthetic, which is prepared by man, which is prepared in laboratory or in industries. So you try to collect the material around you that you generally use, that you generally observe, and write the name, classify them into man-made or natural. So, if we try to find out certain substances, we observe that these are certain materials which are natural. Natural means they are found in nature. Natural means they are found in nature. So, one material, one substance which is present in nature, we call that substance as natural. What we call? We call that substance as natural. And what are those substances? In natural resources, we talk about water. Yes, we know that water is available in nature. In natural substances, we'll talk about sunlight. You all know that sun is the ultimate source of energy and we get sunlight from nature. Similarly, soil, coal, petroleum, all these are the substances which are found in nature. So we can say that yes, these are the materials that are natural. So natural means which are found in nature. Now we'll talk about certain man-made substances. Man-made substances, as I told you, we call them as synthetic. We generally prepare these material, these substances in laboratory. So when we talk about man-made, we say that we may have plastic, we may have synthetic fiber, as we have discussed in previous chapter and previous classes also. We have the building materials like cement, and there are certain other things like brick. We are having man-made. When we talk about explosives, they are also prepared in laboratory. We talk about furniture. Furniture also is man-made, that is synthetic. We take wood from nature though, but has to be modified into furniture, man-made. So manually when these things have been done, we classify them in man-made substances. So here we have discussed certain materials. How do we classify them as natural or as man-made? Try to find few more items around you that you are using and try to observe to which category that substance or item belongs. Now when we talk about natural resources, let us see. These are the natural resources and there are certain man-made resources. Like when we talk about synthetic fiber, we talk about these type of fiber. Optical instruments, the plastic, all these are man-made substances. Now let us discuss more into detail about natural resources. because these are the resources from where we can get the natural substances, especially the fuel, what we are going to talk in this chapter. So when we talk about natural resources, we say that these natural resources are those resources that are found in nature. Means they are available in nature and we can easily collect these substances from nature without involvement of any human activity. So quite amazed? Let us see what these type of resources. So some examples of these resources are like sunlight, air, water, soil, plants, animals and fossil fuels. You all knows about the sunlight, you all knows about air, water, soil, plants, animals. We'll discuss more about fossil fuel, but yes, after seeing all these examples, now there isn't any idea in your mind, yes, what are natural resources? Now it should be a little bit clear to you what are natural resources. So very first thing is, I have been repeating again and again, natural resources means they are present in nature. So from natural we have nature. So these are the substances present in nature. Now let us talk about the types of natural resources. So when we have discussed so many examples of natural resources, for better classification and better understanding of these natural resources, we need to classify these natural resources. So when we talk about the types of natural resources, we say that these are the naturally occurring substances. As I said again and again, in nature, they are found in nature and they are considered valuable in their relatively unmodified form. That means we directly take that substance, that resource from nature, and we do not need to involve any human activity into it, and we can directly utilize that resource as such, like water, like air, like soil, like sunlight. We do not need to convert it into any other type or any involvement of human activity, and we can directly utilize. So they are considered to be valuable. Valuable means they are of utmost importance in our life, and thus we consider these natural resources as very valuable in our daily life. So when we talk about the types, the classification, we generally classify these natural resources into two categories. One is inexhaustible. Inexhaustible means which cannot get exhausted, and exhaustible, which get exhausted. That means after some time the availability of that natural resource is very limited. So let us discuss more into detail about these two types. So now we have discussed that there are two types of natural resources. One is inexhaustible and other is exhaustible. So inexhaustible, as the name suggests, inexhaustible, does not get exhaust so easily, and exhaustible get exhaust and not available within few years. So let us discuss more into detail about these types. So when we talk about these types, here you can see certain examples, like when we talk about animal resources, it's nothing but the animal life, the animals we are having. Then we talk about crude oil, that is in terms of petroleum. We get petrol, we get diesel, we get kerosene oil from this crude oil only. Then we talk about the forest resources. It is again the natural resource. Forest is a natural resource. It is available in nature. Then we talk about there are certain precious metals, minerals and rocks. They are also available in nature. So they are again natural resources. So when we talk about any precious rock, we talk about any mineral, we talk about any rock, that is very important and is available in nature. When we talk about water resources, all water bodies are nothing but the natural water resource. They are available in nature and we can get directly water from nature. When we talk about land resources, it includes the rocks, it includes soil. So rock and soil makes this land resource, and this is available, very important for the cultivation, very important for agriculture. That is natural resource. When we talk about wind power and solar energy, so this wind power, that means air. What is wind? Moving air we call as wind. So the wind power is very important in making, in running windmills. That is useful for the generation of electricity and for running various machines. So when we talk about wind power and solar energy, they are also the natural resources. Then we'll discuss the natural gas also. That natural gas is also available during the refining of petroleum. So here in this chapter we are going to discuss this natural resource in detail. Now, as we have discussed that there are two types, inexhaustible natural resource and the second one is, yes, the exhaustible natural resource. So Inexhaustible resources, when we say that these are those resources that are available, abundant in nature. Abundant means they are present in very, very large amount. They are available to us, and for so many years it will be available. So we call them as inexhaustible, means they are abundant, they are present in large amount and cannot be depleted. Even we use those continuously, we use these natural resources continuously. So the depletion is not so easy because the abundant rich source of these natural resources is available in nature. So when we talk about this inexhaustible, we know that sunlight, it is the ultimate source of energy and it will be available through and throughout for millions and millions of years. Similarly, when we talk about air, the moving air is wind, and wind is one of the source of energy. As we say that it is used in running windmills, or wind energy is very important. So air is again the inexhaustible natural resource. From sunlight we can use the solar panels and can be convert these solar panels to these solar panels to convert solar energy into electrical energy. And same is the work for these windmills. We can run various machines based on this wind energy. And then when we talk about exhaustible natural resource, we say that exhaustible resources are those resources which are present in nature but not in such a large quantity as inexhaustible does. That means they are present in limited amount, they are present in limited resource. So resource is very limited, and when we use continuously, we apply some human activities, the intervention of human activities try to deplete and decreases the amount of this natural resource, and that's why we call them as exhaustible natural resource. As the name suggests, exhaustible means it get exhausted, get finished after some time. So when we can say exhaustible, we say that they are present in limited amount. So I hope the difference between the two will be clear to you, inexhaustible and exhaustible. Inexhaustible, that is present in large amount, that does not get exhaust so easily. Whereas exhaustible, as the name suggests, get exhausted as they are present in very, very limited amount. Now, let us discuss certain examples of exhaustible natural resources. When we say minerals, especially precious gemstones, when we talk about, they are exhaustible. Similarly, the animal resources, there are certain animals that you know and you have been studying that these are endangered. There are certain species which are extinct also. So these are the animal resources which are specially exhaustible. So we can say that yes, some wildlife, some specific species of wildlife are definitely exhaustible. They are very limited in number. So another examples are coal. Even a continuous use of this coal decreases its amount, and since it took millions of years for its formation, and thus the amount decreases day by day, and thus we categorize this coal as exhaustible natural resource. Similarly, tree. Cutting of trees is very easy, but the growing of tree took many years. So again it is exhaustible. If the human activities are so strong for cutting of trees, for deforestation, definitely one day will come when there will be no tree, there will be no forest, and that is very alarming situation for all of us. So these are certain exhaustible natural resources. Few more examples are petroleum, natural gas. They are also present in limited amount, and thus the use of these natural resources has to be very take care of. Now let us discuss one activity after the classification of this natural resource. And the activity is, now you take certain substances and fill few containers. You can take popcorns, you can take grams, you can take beans, you can take toffee, and try to fill few containers, different containers. Take these material and fill in different containers. Now what are you supposed to do? Among your friends, you distribute these containers. Let us discuss that each group contains 7 members. So there are 7 members, make one group, and you distribute these containers to one group, like one container to one group, that means among 7 people or 7 students. Now make 3 subgroups, that means that group further divide into subgroups of each group so formed, and you can mark them as group 1, group 2, group 3, or first generation, second generation, or third generation. That means you have these containers, now you have different groups, you divide these groups into subgroups and you call these subgroups as first generation, second generation, third generation. Basically, these subgroups are nothing but the consumers. That means we are consuming those items continuously, and if the number of items is very limited, that get exhausted easily. So as the continuous increase in population takes place, the number of member also increases, and the use of these natural resources, the pace of consumption increases extraordinarily. And once it increases, definitely the amount get decreased. And we can say that the substance get exhaust so easily, so readily. So that activity actually shows that how increase in population, increase in consumption of these natural resources decreases the exhaustible natural resources to a large extent and to a very faster rate. Here you can see there are certain people which are using several resources. You can see here the fuel has been used in terms of petroleum. It may be petrol or diesel, CNG sometimes. You can see here we are having the resources, natural resources, in the case of CNG.
To watch the complete video, download the Upbind educational app from Play Store and App Store.